Hello, Guardians, and welcome to Destiny Reset, episode 170. This show is about anything and everything related to the Destiny franchise. If you love playing Destiny 2 as much as we do, you're in the right place. This reset, we welcome back friend of the show, Mercules904 from Massive Breakdown Podcast, as we talk about his time at Bungie before Forsaken released, the updates brought with patch 2.0.5, and answer your burning Twitter questions. Hello, Guardians, and welcome. It's AER0KNIGHT and, of course, CyborgSasquatch. Hello, friend. What's up?
Hello.
How you doing?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm doing fine, man. I could be doing better.
What does that mean?
Oh, I've got some gripes this week. It's not with Destiny. It's just with myself.
Okay. Well, we need a new section in the show.
Have you heard of, it's a new term that psychologists have called meatball rage. Have you heard of that?
Oh, yeah. New thing. Yep. New up and coming.
It's spreading like wildfire.
In society. Yeah. Okay. I got you.
Well, I brought a friend on this week, if that's okay.
There's somebody else in our channel here?
There is.
Really?
Surprise. It's Mercules904.
Oh, no way. I'm going to freak out. What's up, Merc?
Nothing much. How are you guys doing?
How's it going, dude?
Welcome back.
Here, honestly, it's been a while since I've been on the show.
It has. Too long.
You've been through a lot since the last time we saw you.
I've been very busy. Yeah,
been a busy man.
Saw AER0KNIGHT in person at the community summit, and then got to spend about 3 months working on a contract at Bungie. And since Forsaken's dropped, I've been trying to keep up with the massive breakdowns. Been reviewing some weapons and figuring out some mechanics and making some podcasts. So it's been fun.
We've got a
wild ride.
lot to talk to you about. I think our listeners are pretty excited you're on the show. We always love the podcast, of course, Massive Breakdown, because we love the specifics on all the gear and the weapons and such. But we've got a bunch of different things to talk about. Cyborg, I guess we'll start with who he is and what he does, I guess.
Yes. So, Merc, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
So obviously, my name is Mercules, and if any of you know me, it's probably through the weapon stat spreadsheet, which is probably the first thing that got me well known out there. And it's the spreadsheet that has all the times to kill for PvP and all the weapons individual stats, and they're all color coded and nice and neat and everything like that. So basically, I
thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. That's I selfishly made it for myself because I'm a terrible person and I want to figure out which weapon kills the fastest so I can use it against other players in PvP. So
the important thing is that you shared it.
Yeah, I can't say it was entirely unselfish of a reason for me making it, but I am glad that so many people have found a good use for it. But I basically just write extremely long, wordy posts and put them on Reddit. I've written for Planet Destiny, PC Gamer, Destiny Tracker as well. And I try to break down either mechanics in the game, like aim assist, zoom magnification, most recently shotguns. That was a bear. And then I talk about those things on a podcast as well with my co-host, Kit Kutcha. So,
what's the name of that podcast again?
It's the Massive Breakdown Podcast. Fortunately for me, I'm a simple man, and everything I do is called Massive Breakdown, just like my name is Mercules everywhere. Discord.
That's the way you
Twitter.
Brand things, man. It makes it easy. I was going to say, go ahead and tell them your Twitter handle so we don't get an hour into the show. Tell them where they can find you so they can find all these wonderful stats.
It's Mercules904 on Twitter. There's a Massive Breakdown Discord as well. And I'm Mercules904 on Xbox. If anybody wants to play on there, I'm always looking for more people to play some PvP with. Or to get shot in the face by a shotgun and custom games.
Oh, we'll talk about shotguns this episode, I'm sure.
Well, if you're curious about the best shotgun to use after the current patch, maybe go check out what Merc has put together.
Yes.
He was telling us before the show just how much time he's spent testing shotguns recently, and it's quite egregious.
Yeah.
So he puts a lot of work into these guides. He's very rigorous in his testing, and I think you're the gold standard for stats and spreadsheets in the Destiny community. I can say that. I was going to say,
I think Cyborg and I are in agreement. Everyone listening, if you have a Twitter account, go thank Mercules904 and Fallout Plays for the hours. How many hours, Merc, did you spend just on the shotgun testing alone?
I think it was 21 hours over the last 2 weeks. In custom games, shooting shotguns or being shot by shotguns.
Oh my goodness.
That was more time than I actually spent playing the game by far.
See,
I was at Crucible for
we understand. We understand that, except that's a lot. Like, just putting together a podcast, which you can relate to. Like, sometimes we end up spending more time prepping and doing that than actually playing. Testing shotguns that much? Wow. Wow. I don't know. Thank you again.
As Fallout says, his golden rule is what shotguns are inconsistent, and that led to that led to the extreme duration, right? When you have to shoot every shotgun at every range distance at least 10 times to make sure you get an accurate percentage. And there are so many shotguns with so many different perks. Oh god. I'm like shaking just thinking that's terrible.
Oh, wow.
I admire you and am also afraid of you.
Yes.
Simultaneously.
Well said, Cyborg.
What kind of sociopath spends his time that way, Merc?
Someone who wants to win every internet argument is basically the way it works.
Yeah, it's to win internet
tell
arguments.
Me the botheration is the best shotgun. I can say, no, sir, no, it's not. And I have the stats to prove it.
It's all about the internet points, right? And that I can understand.
Yeah.
All right. Well, something that you may or may not also know about Mercules is that he was one of 3 individuals hired on as a contract employee at Bungie prior to the release of Forsaken to help work on that expansion. Would you care to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So that was an incredible thing. First off, it's something that I told you guys earlier I got to check off my bucket list, which I was really, really happy that I got to do. But basically, I was there for 90 days from the middle of June until the middle of August. And I like to say the long and short of it is I got to play the game for about 6 to 8 hours a day and then spend about 2 hours a day complaining about it at the end of the They would just give us portions of the game, be it the campaign or the raid or the in-game or the sandbox or gambit. And they would just have us play through them. And then we'd sit in a meeting with the leadership teams or with our managers. And they would be like, all right, give us your feedback. And we'd complain about stuff, or we'd say, hey, this is really great. We think you should lean into this. And I got to do that for, 5 days a week for 3 straight months. And it was probably one of the greatest times of my life. So,
wow.
That's awesome. So you got a huge leg up in playing Forsaken before everybody else got their hands on it, huh?
Yes, I did. And it was one of the hardest things I've ever done. I don't know how they do it full time. I don't know how they sit there knowing what's going to happen. Like, we knew about the Whisper quest. It was one of the first things they showed me when I got there. And on the day that Whisper released, I swear to you, right? Like someone posted something on Reddit and it was in the new queue. And within like a minute, it had 21 upvotes. And I swear to you, every single one of those people were Bungie employees who were watching the new queue of Reddit and like waiting for someone to
make sure this goes up.
Yeah. And it was just so incredibly cool. And the same thing with, all the experience, right? Like, I knew that Uldren was going to kill Cade, and then I got to watch the community's reaction to that happening, and it's just so incredible to see the way people react to stuff that you've either been working on or even that you just have been aware of happening.
Yeah, I can. Cool. Yeah, I can imagine the anxious, and but also excitement. Just you could see it too. It was so cool to see with the Gambit team as well. And we were interacting with them a bit on Twitter, and just as more and more Guardians got their hands on Gambit, and then the excitement just grew and grew. You could just see just with their Twitter posts and stuff, how excited they were that the community was enjoying Gambit, right? So it's really neat to see that kind of play out. Very cool.
Yeah, not to mention a little bit nerve-wracking, right? Because like you've worked on this thing and you think it's pretty cool.
But will the community, right?
Yeah, and I feel like that's how the Sandbox team like always is. Like they put all this work into the Sandbox, and then the community breaks it in like the first day and finds Telesto or whatever it is that's just, you know, really, really good. And I felt like it was kind of like that, right? Like we put all this work into stuff and we tested it so many times, and like the very first day someone found something. Like one of the examples was like Solstice of Heroes. One of the jobs we were doing was like looking at all the perks or not the perks, the things you had to do to level up the armor. And we were like looking at all that stuff, and somehow like one of those things got past us that it was like get 10 kills and 30 super kills, which doesn't make sense. And obviously those should be switched, and like that just like got right past us and we didn't even notice because we were just probably looking at the numbers. And like as soon as that came out and they found it and people were upset about it, I was like, damn it, how did we miss that? Like, how did we not see that? So it's also kind of nerve-wracking along those lines because you just like are wondering what are people going to find. Like
so many moving parts.
Yeah. Because the way we said it is like, even if every single person at Bungie played the game for 24 hours a day for an entire year, the community plays the game more in the first day than the entire company could play. So like, it doesn't matter how much testing we do. It doesn't matter how much work we do on it. Like the community is going to find stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it was obviously important to them and very cool that, you know, you guys were there because you definitely were looking at it. Maybe I won't say more so, but just naturally more from just, you know, the player's perspective and playing it. I did wonder though, as much time as you told us you spent playing it like you normally would have, that many hours when it finally released, like, was it still fun? I mean, I know that experience was awesome, but like how many times, like what campaign playthrough number were you on when you actually were finally playing on your own character at your house?
It was still a ton of fun because it was on my character, but I had played the campaign through 25 times by the time I was playing it at my house. I had the entire thing memorized, but it's also different playing on a throwaway character that gets reset every single day that doesn't mean anything than it is playing on your character where everything find, you keep, you have an attachment to.
It may have probably maybe made it even better. You're like, yes, I'm finally on my character. I get to keep this, right?
Yeah, it did. And it was, you know, it didn't take away anything from it. What it did do, interestingly, was it made me way more sympathetic. Like, they say that the reason we were only there for 90 days in the capacity that we were is because you start to gain biases when you've been around development for so long. And that was why they brought in people specifically who were in game development, because we don't have game development biases. So we came in and we were able to say, hey, this right here, this sucks. And it needs to change. And we were able to say that because we were players. Whereas people inside the company don't want to say something like that because they know how hard someone worked on it, right? And like even at the end of 90 days, we'd be looking at systems and we'd be like, they'd be like, so how is it? We'd be like, yeah, it's pretty good because we saw how it was 4 weeks ago and it was terrible. And compared to that, it's way better. But then they'd be like, no, how is it really? And we'd like stop and we'd go back into our objectiveness and we'd be like, no, it's still pretty bad. And so like,
that's interesting.
Yeah, it was really easy to be objective at first, but like the longer we were there, the harder it was to
the more you
objective.
Worked on stuff.
And even at the end of 90 days, like I could feel it. Like I just had all these biases where like I saw how bad this was 3 months ago, and compared to that, it's light years ahead. But the community is only going to see it how it releases, and like they don't know where it started from.
We had talked for a few minutes beforehand talking about this experience and what you could and couldn't talk about, but I think it's important for listeners to know, like, did you feel when you made recommendations on parts of the game that the feedback was implemented? Do you feel like you had impact on the final product that came out?
Absolutely. And I'm not just saying that like marketing speech or whatever. Like I really do. Like even things that I can't necessarily talk about, on a recording, like in my head, I know things that myself and Holtzman and Madison directly had an impact on that changed the game for the better, right? Like meetings that we had with people, conversations that we had, mechanics that we worked on that are in the game now that people appreciate and that people like, and that we were a driving factor behind those things being the way they are. But it wasn't all like that, right? Like conversely, there were some things that we, pushed really, really hard for that didn't get changed. But the thing was, everything was a conversation. Like, any issue that we had, we could bring up to someone in the leadership team or to one of the designers and talk to them about it. And they would listen to us. That didn't mean that we could always make them see our point of view or that they would listen to us 100% of the time. But there was always a conversation about anything that we wanted, which is amazing.
It sounds like even a further extension of the summit, right? Because there were assumptions of what the summit was or how it was going to go, and of course you were there, obviously, and that sounds like what the summit was, right? We just had conversations for 2 days, and they were all ears, and it was really cool experience, and you could tell like they were taking notes and taking all that feedback, and it sounds like, I mean, just what you guys did was quite a bit longer extension of that. So
I have to give them so much credit, because it cannot be easy for your company to bring in people who are from outside sources, who basically look over your shoulder and tell you the work you're doing isn't good enough, right? But,
and really also, just to put into that, and not to I guess downgrade the player's opinion at all, not in any way, because it's very important. Obviously, we're playing their game, but we definitely don't understand the process behind the scenes, right? Behind the curtains. So it's you got to give them props for being able to take that feedback, kind of like you said, knowing how much work they put in and knowing how it really all comes together and works. You know what I mean? So anyways, expand on what you were saying. I mean, it seems like that, right? I mean, is that kind of what you've taken away from it?
It was really impressive. Everybody was all ears. Everybody was willing to listen to us. There was no looking down on us because we didn't have a game development background.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You are correct. People in the community, and myself included, don't understand how things work because we don't get to see behind the curtain very often. Game development is, maybe by necessity, maybe a little bit more than is necessary, is very secretive. They hide things a lot. They purposely make their mechanics very opaque. And as a community member, I didn't understand the way things work until I went out there. And I still don't fully understand things. Obviously, I was only there for 3 months, but I have a lot better insight now than I did. And that is one of the hardest things about coming back in the community now, is seeing people accuse Bungie of things that I feel are just wildly unfair, because I don't feel like the people making the accusations have an understanding or have a grasp on what actually goes on during game development. I mean, how would you feel if someone came into your job who had no knowledge of what your job was and started telling you how to do things, right? Like, it would be really hard to be welcoming and accepting of that person, but to every single person I worked with's credit, they all were. Like, they would take us out to lunch, they would have conversations with us, they'd grab beers with us after work, like, they'd sit down and play Destiny with us. And it was just a truly fantastic experience.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something to always consider, and we always say on the show and in our community, always be constructive. Obviously, the players' feedback is important and very valuable for us to be able to do that, and for them, and for them to listen like they do. And it's just one of those things, such a weird dynamic, really, kind of the player developer, I guess, relationship, but also, the different way we're approaching the same product as an end user versus a developer. But it's everybody's perspective is important, and as long as people are constructive and provide that feedback, you gotta give the community props for many of them being that way and being constructive and just saying, hey, what about this? And then you got to give Bungie props for being able to listen to those members of the community, but also the ones that maybe are a little bit more salty and having the I guess the patience to filter through all, select, insert word here, and actually figure out what is bothering that person that's playing the game, right?
Yeah, and that's one of the things I wish that I could impress upon the community, is like, the way you present your feedback matters dramatically. Like, if you say, screw you, Bungie, I hate your game, like, doesn't matter if you wrote 6 paragraphs underneath that, it's probably not going to get read. If you say, hey,
it was really interesting. I was on Reddit this week, and I was in probably like r/games or something, but a developer was commenting on a conversation, and he said, it's fascinating. I've kind of realized about myself, the way that I read feedback, it's almost subconscious now. If a user is trying to explain a problem and they recommend a suggestion to fix it, I literally can't read it. I gloss over it and I move and try to find where the actual description of the problem is, because it's so out of touch that I can't even process what they want to have happen. And it kind of made me think about not only the context of how you communicate to people, meaning like, sharing a problem and doing it with respect and not pointing fingers and being critical of people, just being critical of a problem, like a technical problem, but also like, it's not always helpful to try to present a solution. Mm-hmm. Like sometimes it's best to just say, hey, here's a problem in the description and here's what happened. I want you to be aware of this. And it's really easy when we're like, so we're on a podcast. Part of our job is to entertain and commentate. So I could spitball what I want to see happen in Destiny for 20 hours straight if I wanted to, but it made me think about how I want that conversation to go when I'm trying to talk to Bungie about things in the game.
Right. Like the way they tried to have us do it there is like, you can offer a suggestion, but it's the way you offer it that matters and why you're offering it, right? So like, you should say what you had a problem with, why you had that problem, how it made you feel, and then something you would prefer, right? So it's like right now with Telesto, because Telesto is the hot topic, right? Like people are like, Telesto's OP. Well, that doesn't really help. So let's filter that down. Like, what about Telesto do you think is, too strong? Well, I think it charges too fast for killing in 4 bolts, and the range is very long. Okay, now that's a problem that we can look at. Why do you feel like that? Well, because there aren't any other fusion rifles that can kill at that range, and I feel like I'm at pulse rifle range, which I would think would be outside of the range of a fusion rifle, and it still kills me. Okay, that's reasonable. So what do you think would be better? Well, I think it would be better if it didn't have as long a range, right? Like that is feedback right there that is valuable. Saying, I think
Telesto's OP.
Yeah,
take it out of the game.
I think that Telesto should be made into something totally different that it's not is totally useless feedback, right?
Right.
Like saying some wildly out of the blue change. Like there was a guy the other day on Reddit. Not the other day. It was actually back before Forsaken release. But he was like, hey, Bungie, it'd be really cool if in Forsaken we had an EP on every planet with a unique loophole. And it was like, okay, let me just take a team of 100 people and give me 6 months and let me do that for you. Like, and he was posting it like a month before Forsaken. Like that shows a total disconnect from how development works. Like that's a suggestion that just gets glossed over because it's so laughably out of this world that's not going to happen. Saying, hey, Bungie, I think scout rifles are too unforgiving. They don't do enough body shot damage. Like that's a suggestion that's more realistic, right? So suggestions within the realm of possibility that actually come from an understanding of what's going on and that you can back up with, I don't like this because it makes me feel this way. I would like this because it makes me feel this way, are okay. Yeah. But just yelling or cursing or making out of the blue wild, suggestions helps no one.
Yeah, and it's all about context too and timeline, right? Yeah.
Yes. Do you think that there's a place though for the type of suggestion where, take that particular instance, his desire was, I would enjoy being able to go to every public zone and have this activity there. Do you think there's a place for that in the long term that the developers hear in terms of, I'd like to see this feature in the game one day, or I'd like to see more of this type of activity? Like, do you think those things are received? Yeah, do you think when they're too broad that it gets lost?
I mean, that suggestion, you might as well just say, hey, Bungie, I really like IP. I'd like to see, or EP. I'd like to see more of it, right? Because if you want an EP on every single planet, you're probably not going to get strikes next expansion. Like they have a limited amount of people doing work who can design activities. Like you can't just build an unlimited number of activities. Like they're going to have to come from somewhere. So if we were to get one EP per expansion, that's probably reasonable. If you want 5 EPs next expansion, 1 on every single planet, well, then we're probably going to lose something else.
Yeah.
So
I personally, like, just knowing, like, and I know that Bungie as a studio has grown, but looking at all the different facets of what they put out with Forsaken, and obviously that's a bigger expansion, but I almost worry that expectations are being set too high, because we have, if we look at the different types of activities, you have a campaign with adventures with 2 new public zone areas. You have a new blind well, whatever, let's call it the EP type of activity, right? Like the Sandbox type of shoot bad guys forever and ever type of activity. Then you have Gambit. Then you have the Crucible. You have Comp in all those modes in between. Like, there are so many different aspects of the game now. My concern is, like, can they keep up that pace?
Well, yeah,
like,
that's where people's expectations
developing every part of the different types of things that they've created. And I'm worried that people are going to expect that from every big expansion. And who knows what they have planned, but there's so much. There's just so much.
Long story short, no, I don't think they can keep up that type of production. But what I think that they can do is, we have the annual pass now, and they've already said that they're not going to do a cinematic story for that, but they're going to do lore and stuff. I think what we can expect is, say we have 9 unique aspects of the game. I would fully expect that we will focus on 3 of those aspects each, with each of the annual pass things. So Black Armory will probably focus on 3, and the next one will probably focus on 3, and the one after that will probably focus on 3, and then so over the course of the year, we'll get an equivalent amount of content. And then hopefully by next fall, they have something that's at least like Rise of Iron level, where it's bigger than the annual pass stuff. But I don't know if it will be as big as Forsaken. I would be extremely impressed if it were as big as Forsaken, because Forsaken, for what we paid for it, was absolutely massive. I would think it would probably be more along the lines of like a single location and a smaller cinematic story, not 15 missions like we had with this one, plus Dreaming City, but like Rise of Iron was.
The important takeaway from this whole conversation is, one, just natural way of life. Everyone be respectful to each other. I think being constructive is the important thing. Even if your feedback is like not really in tune with the timeline of a month before Forsaken, if you're constructive about it and you say, this is, like Cyborg was kind of saying, this is something you would enjoy and like to see, that's kind of what I think you were hinting at, Cyborg. That's a healthy exchange, and they can throw that on a list for maybe consider down the road. Hey, this is on the list. It's just, it's you got to applaud them when they have to filter through some of those super salty posts and videos to just to get to the core of what maybe that particular Guardian their issue is, or what they think's wrong with the game. But keeping it constructive is always a good thing. But we got a little lightning round like that we like to do for our guests, and then we can get more into some of this conversation, Mercules, if that works for you, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I just want to say real quick while we're on this subject, because I won't get another chance to bring it up though. But when they announced that you and your other 2 partners in crime were selected to do this job, I felt really confident in their choices, and I'm really thankful that you guys went out there and busted your butts on behalf of players like me. Like, I really felt like, okay, these people are going out there and they really represent what my interests in the game well. And so I appreciate the things that you did out there, and I'm sure y'all worked really hard.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, funny thing about that, they picked 3 like totally different players, right? Like Holtzman is the omnivore player. He does everything, right? He does PvP, trials, raids. He does everything. Madison is like raid exclusive. She's a raid Sherpa, has something like 200 Eater of World completions, just like raids all the time. And I'm mostly like PvP systems. Like I do the raids like once or twice, but I don't really like care that much about them unless there's a weapon that's good for PvP that I can get from them. Like I'm all about PvP and figuring out, you know, which guns kill the fastest. And like they brought in these 3 totally different players, and I think they thought like, hey, we need to cover the entire spectrum of types of players that exist because they probably have different opinions. And the hilarious thing is like we're all, you know, 2,000 hour D1 players and, you know, 500 hour D2 players at that point in time. Like we all agreed on almost everything. Like there were small things, like minute things, specifically in like the areas that we focused on that we disagreed in. But like the big things for the game, the 3 of us agreed on it almost universally. And so we were able to take that and be like, look, you have 3 totally different types of players here. And we all agree that either this would be good for the game or this is not going to be good for the game. And I think that like was really able to impress upon them like, hey, your core community for the most part all wants the same thing for the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Awesome, man.
It's really cool.
Okay. But I just wanted to throw that out there. Let's do the derp lightning round. Arrow, why don't you hit them hard with these questions and we'll move on.
Yep. Let's do it. Mercules, favorite class?
Right now it's the Blade Barrage Hunter, easily.
Oh,
nice.
Go figure. All right. Favorite weapon right now?
Ooh, it's got to be Telesto. Sorry.
Oh, man.
Telesto.
Don't apologize.
Telesto.
All right. Cyborg, you want this one?
What's your favorite Destiny character in D2 Forsaken?
My favorite Destiny character in D2, probably... I can't answer this one lightning-wise. I actually have never thought about who my favorite character is in D2.
First one that comes to mind.
Tell me it's Marasov, and if it's not...
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Too funny. Too funny. Okay. Favorite game besides Destiny right now? You playing anything else?
I don't play any other games besides Destiny. The game that I play the second most is probably Futurama Game of Drones, which is like a match 3 on my phone. I don't play any games besides Destiny, man. I played War Thunder for a little bit, which is a flight simulator, but I literally don't play anything besides Destiny.
Testing shotguns and stuff, man. I don't think you have time.
I don't.
All right. This is Ara's favorite. What is your favorite chip?
Is this like potato chip?
Yep.
I don't really eat chips, but
oh man,
I guess like
no
Fritos
chips.
if I had to pick a chip. Yeah.
With any dip or just plain old Fritos?
No, just plain old Fritos.
Really?
Hey,
okay.
No shame
I don't
in that
eat
game,
chips
man. I
very
like
much.
Hey,
Fritos.
yeah.
Somebody else
like
provides
that.
it for me.
I can eat a plain Frito, but I'm a dipper, man. I like a little bean dip with my Fritos.
That sounds pretty good. I'm gonna have to try that.
I'm more of a chili cheese on my Fritos guy.
That's good too. That's good too. All right, this next one, dude. This is a big one. This has been around in the Dirt Fam community for a while, but it has also been around the Destiny community. Period. But we probably asked you before. Does pineapple belong on pizza, Mercules?
So I'm pretty sure I said no before, and because that's the way I previously thought, and I still kind of think no, but I did. So my girlfriend's roommate is a fan of not a fan of Destiny. She doesn't like Destiny at all, but she's a fan of pineapple on pizza. And I was over there the other day, and I took a bite, and it actually wasn't too bad. So I would never order it myself. It was a little too sweet. I'm not really a fan of sweet.
You were the chosen one.
But I had a bite, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. So,
hey, we had that experience. We tried it live when we were at Guardian Con. Was that 2 years ago?
17.
Now?
Yeah, 17.
And I actually, my wife likes it. Actually, yours does now too, right, Cyborg? We figured, yes.
Yeah, we're married to Traders.
Yes, my wife has always enjoyed pineapple pizza. Man, Traders, I would maybe not go that far, Cyborg. But I did try it too, and I kind of thought the same. Like, I don't know that I would order it on my own, and I don't really want a pineapple to touch my side of the pizza if my wife and I order one. But it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Now, Cyborg, on the other hand, he has not changed his opinion at all.
Has not changed. I stand firm that pineapple can stay the hell away from my pizza.
that's the hill you choose to die on, man, and I respect that.
Yes.
Yep. That's what I got to do. All right. Thanks for your answers. Now the Dirt Fam knows where you stand and can choose their camp accordingly. Let's do some announcements. We got a couple real quick. Some updates for the community. If you're a member of the Derp Fam, which if you're new to this show is what we call our community, A couple things. We've got some new ambassadors, clan leaders, and Discord mods that we brought on the team. Do you have a list of these names? Can you shout them all out real quick?
Let's shout them out real quick. Yes, these are the new community leaders in the Derp fam. Ryan is a Sith, The Beard MB, Jumpsmith, Blackhammer Tech, Chief Man Down, and BitDead. Welcome to the team, Guardians.
Awesome people. Been around the community for a while. Some older, some newer, but I can stand behind all of them. They're going to do a great job. So if you're in our Discord, give them a high five, a virtual high five this week, and be looking out for them. They're going to be helping us foster relationships, control the constant Wild West that is general chat and Discord and such. So, but on that note, we've got a new tool in the Discord. We've struck down our no bots in Discord rule and added Charlemagne by popular demand, by recommendation from our new Discord mods who are shaking things up from day one. A lot of you, if you use Discord and you're a Destiny player, you probably are familiar with Charlemagne, but if you're not, it's an awesome tool that you can basically go ask questions about you and other people's Destiny stats. So it's super useful to get information, and we'll have a channel. What's the channel going to be called? And
it will be called Destiny Stats, and it should be live right now if you're listening to this.
There you go.
Yes.
Go ask Charlemagne if pineapple belongs on pizza and see what he says. I didn't
realize that she did so much. It's pretty cool. We're testing it right now. We're recording before you're listening to this on Reset. Actually, not Reset. I can't get used to it, man, on Monday, obviously. Several days before, but by the time you're listening to this, it will be live. You can go do the things. We wanted to take a little moment here, too, just to give a shout out to the Dirt Fam and just kind of let you listeners know. We get emails pretty regularly and or tweets of people who say they've been listening to the show for 2 years or however long, 6 months, and they finally decided to join the Dirt Fam. And we just want to let you guys know you can continue listening without joining the community, but if you have any thought of doing it, don't hesitate. It's a pretty amazing, positive community, and everyone that joins usually is pretty excited and lets us know how excited they are and that they wish they hadn't waited so long. So we're amping up some things. We're getting the Discord good and lively with different features and bringing on leadership. We want to thank our current leadership and just come join us if you guys want some Guardians to play with. You can start by joining the Discord at discord.gg/Destiny Reset.
Come on in.
Come on in.
Water's fine. All right, it's time for the news, gentlemen. You ready for some Destiny news?
I think so.
All right. This week at Bungie, we sent you on a quest to find 10 legendary engrams and come back next week.
Dude, yep. I knew you were going to do that.
That's a thing. I had to throw some shade. Everybody was a little disappointed. And you know what? I'm going to blame it on the dadgum data miners again. You know, it's a double-edged sword.
Build it up,
build it up. Too much spoiled. Listen to those data miners instead of just playing what comes in the game. But that murder mystery that was promised finally showed up this week. And it's going to play out over the next 3 weeks, I guess.
Yes. Really
be over the next 2 weeks if we include this week, I think. And we're going to find out who murdered Master Ives.
Yeah.
And
it's cool, right?
They mention each week offers up a new step in the quest along with a powerful reward. Hint, hint. You'll receive it with thunderous applause.
You didn't.
I did. I went there. Next, they have a little article on Masterwork Armor, clarifying how Masterworking Armor works and what it does. Now, did you get into any of these spicy numbers, Merc?
Yeah, I saw.
Did you take a look at these?
Just gives like a point of extra resistance against the specific elemental damages that it says, but more importantly to me, it gives a percentage point of increased damage resistance when you're in your super versus any elements in PvP, and that to me is actually insane.
If it works, if I understood it right, the per gear is dependent upon the element when you're just damage resistant. But if you're in your super, they all stack, right? It doesn't matter what element.
Yeah.
Okay, that's big. That's huge.
Yeah, which is insane because damage resistance is already really high, and you're telling me that like I can stack more damage resistance on top of that. Like imagine a Nova Warp, now with how much damage resistance they already have, plus 5 pieces of fully masterworked armor, they're basically going to be invincible in their super.
Mm-hmm.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but these numbers don't work out terribly different to what masterworked armor would do in year 1, right? If you had a fully masterworked armor set in year 1, you would get 25% damage resistant in your super. Wasn't that the figure?
I believe that is correct, but we didn't have Nova Warp in year 1, so
that's true. That's true. There's different sandbox, but it works out math-wise the same. It's just a little bit different abilities and things to cope with, and I definitely see where there could be some scary stuff going on. But the extra layer that is kind of different is how those damage resistant numbers work out as far as elemental resistance, which is what you're really looking at if you're playing in PvE. And it almost, man, it's the problem I have with this is that it's almost too many options. Where, I mean, goodness, how would I have enough armor? I mean, maybe one day I will, but to have like 3 different sets, one for
That's
each element.
exactly what I was thinking as I was reading it.
So much investment, but hey, long term, like maybe that's worth it. 25% resistance is not something to ignore, but it seems like it seems like something not a lot of players will end up taking advantage of, in my opinion.
Well, there's so much to do and so much to consider now, and the season seems so short. Again, like we said last week, we're not going to complain because there seems to be so much depth and so much to do. It's what we wanted. But yeah, dude, like the way I play, I know you've hit 600 for a while now, Cyborg, but I'm getting close to 600. And like, I'm so focused, again, the PvP aspect of me, I'm so focused on rolls on my weapons and which I want to masterwork there. Yeah. Sorry. Perks. Yep.
I think it comes down to variables, right?
Right.
There's so many variables.
Yeah. So like I haven't even started to masterwork my armor. I mean, I definitely have thought about and talked about different sets I want for each different activity, from Gambit to Crucible to general PvE. But man, when you start layering on the armor and then the sets for the elements, there's so much there. Yeah, there's a ton. And yeah, I don't know.
I think that, we've been talking a couple times about how we would like to see the ability to re-roll the masterwork, at least the masterwork weapons.
Yes.
I think that if you could do that on armor, it would make that system a lot more versatile, because if you can get the right perks that you want, you're not having to worry about, well, this is the right perks, but it's arc, and I really need this arm to have these perks in it for it to be solar, because I use this, super when I'm doing this thing or whatever it is. So I don't know, but maybe they just want you to have that much more stuff to chase. There's definitely no shortage of legendary loot in the game.
Oh no. Yeah. And it's such a delicate balance. While we're on this topic, Mercules, obviously we all, I'm sure, in agreement that random rolls and perks and things like that, what it's done for the game and the depth it's added back into the game. What do you think about just adding a little bit of that reroll fun, Merc, and letting us reroll the masterwork stat on our loot?
I'm a huge fan of rerolls. I honestly, I'm happy that random rolls are back, but I have long been a proponent of, make every perk a mod and let mods be the chase, and then when we get them, you can just slot them into weapons and armor and stuff like that, right? I much prefer. That's what I
thought we were gonna get before Forsaken.
Yeah,
that's what I had in my mind's eye.
I think that's kind of where they were going, and they decided to back off of that at the last minute. There seems to really be an aversion for letting people pick their perks, totaling completely. But the mods we have now are good, and random rolls are good, but. I'm a huge fan that you are way more attached to a weapon when you build it than when it randomly drops. So to me, the idea of being able to even re-roll is a step in the right direction. And I know that people are like, rerolling was bad during House of Wolves. I don't think so. I thought rerolling was fantastic, and not only that, but it was a wonderful glimmer sink. It was a wonderful just material sink in general, which Destiny 2, really, really needs right now, because some people are just sitting on massive stockpiles of stuff. So personally, I think rerolling never should have left. I really wish they'd kept it in there.
Really? Yeah. See, I as much as I loved rerolling, I'm totally fine that we cannot reroll a base drop perk set of a weapon. But I'm right there with you. Rerolling was an absolute blast, and I loved it. So I feel like we could have a piece of that fun back if we could reroll the Masterwork stat on our gear.
Well, the reason that they gave me for saying they didn't want to bring rerolling back, or one of the reasons, this is not the universal Bungie reason for not doing it, but it was just a reason that was given to me when I was asking about it, because I was talking about being able to reroll through collections at one point in time, and they were like, the fact of the matter is, it is always more fun to get a gun to drop from an activity than it is to get it to drop from a page. Mm-hmm. Right? And like that's...
I agree with that idea.
And I do too, but my thing was, okay, well, let me use planetary materials to acquire guns from the EDZ, right? Like we have an EDZ foundry. Mm-hmm. Let me use planetary materials that are from the EDZ to get EDZ guns. So that way, at least I went and did a bunch of stuff on the planet. But after a certain amount of time, if I didn't get a drop, I could, re-roll that gun or something like that. Like my thing was like, whatever the activity is, let me use either materials or tokens from that activity to pull guns out that come from that activity. So that way, it's the best of both worlds. Is I'm still playing the activity, trying to get the gun. But if I don't, every once in a while, I can go pull a random version out or something like that. Or, they could just have the vendors sell random rolled guns that rotate every week, and that would kind of serve a purpose too.
We touched on that a couple of different times that we had that back again just before Forsaken, and now the rotation of that has stopped again. Yeah.
It's strange, I guess, in contrast to Destiny 1, how little you can actually purchase with any materials. Like, there's nothing. We call them vendors, but they're not selling anything. Like you can't buy guns and armor anymore. You have to get them through activities and stuff. And part of that is like there's an advantage to that, and that's kind of cool because it encourages you to get an immediate reward and stuff. But there's no like secondary route to get a specific thing, so you're just at the mercy of random drops. Like for instance, I think the biggest complaint I hear from my friends is, with Gambit, because, and even with like Crucible and stuff, it's so hard to get the exact piece of armor that you want. Cause you're just kind of at the mercy of the rank up system. So there's just not much to buy out there, but there's a lot of materials to earn.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, well, let's move on in the news. They unmasked the winners of the Halloween or the Festival of the Lost costume contest. I saw a lot of these on Twitter, but there's some pretty funny and some really cool looking entries that you can check out. I think the Callus one was one of my favorites. I love that Callus mask. And then did you guys see the one with all the Shaxes? I like that one a lot.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
That was pretty cool. I had one that I wanted to do and I forgot to do it, but I was just going to put on the chicken mask with the chicken emote and then go stand next to the Colonel and just title it, "Don't Ever Talk to Me and My Sons Ever Again." But I didn't do it.
Didn't do it. Yeah,
I'll still take it.
These are fun. Yeah. Just good times.
Yeah. There's some good ones, so go check them out. See some fun things people did with the masks. Now, next up is my favorite thing this week, which is the Refer a Friend trailer. Dude. I've got to shake the hand of whoever did this trailer.
I'm telling you what, man. I instantly had to tweet it out and say I love this trailer. Like the cheesy levels are like through the roof. But it just works, dude. And then I'm like, I wonder how many Guardians realize what this song is from. At least at some point what the song was from. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I've watched some Golden Girls episodes in my time.
Oh, is that why it had the Guardian up in the sky at the end? And the
is
that throwback to it? I didn't know what it was from until you just said that all. I watched it, but I mean, if there's one thing Bungie is extremely good at, and there are many things they're extremely good at, but trailers are definitely their trailer game is on point.
Even down to the intense build up at the beginning, and then the super cheesy wave, and like the
guy just waving.
Yeah, and like the shuttered camera zoom in, you know, like everything about it just worked. It was good. I liked it.
Yeah. I've got to find a refer friend though, man. I've got to put out some feelers.
Dude, I know.
I want those skins and stuff. But which, by the way, we brought up last week. We weren't sure, but the Borealis reward is a skin.
Right.
It's not an actual gun, but I really like the skin and everything on the ships, and
it's
all
good.
that stuff's really cool.
Yeah, I like it too.
Next up, over in Destiny player support, they talked about a problem with people picking up the Lost Cryptarch quest if your pursuits inventory was full. Make sure that you've got an open slot in your pursuits inventory prior to speaking with Amanda Holiday. I think you can do it on another character if you have one. If not, they're pursuing a hotfix to resolve the issue. They talk more about Refer Friend and how to utilize that. Go check out the article if you want to know more. And then listed some known issues. Some of them, one I saw that a lot of people are complaining about this week. So there's a exotic sparrow called Harbinger's Echo that apparently it's supposed to be the reward for opening all of the corrupted eggs in the Dreaming City. And it seems the issue is if you don't do them all on one character, it won't drop for you. So they're looking into what's causing that. So I don't know, if you haven't finished it, maybe hold off on the last egg. I'm not sure what to tell you, but they're working on it. Another one that's interesting, they're working on the 4th time's a charm perk on Warden's Law, not activating correctly. And I almost had hope here. It listed Xbox One X crashes, and it was something very specific to the Haunted Forest. I'm having even more problems with my Xbox One X crashing when I'm playing Destiny, like once or twice a night now.
That thing's too powerful for its own good, apparently.
I guess. I don't know what's going on. I'm wondering if I just need to do a wipe and reinstall everything. I'm not sure, but
yeah, it stinks, dude.
A couple times at least a night, it just crashes and shuts down. I don't know why, but it's only when I play Destiny.
Yeah,
Destiny
I'm not
2.
having any crashes, but
Destiny
the
1.
performance issues have definitely become markedly worse since Forsaken. Like I can't even open up my menu in the middle of games anymore because it just takes unbelievably long to load. So I'm actually considering just going out and buying an SSD or maybe an Xbox One X, and just hoping that
yeah,
makes it faster.
So I got my X right before Forsaken, and I will say the frame rate issues are way better on the X. There's a couple times occasionally where I might drop some frames, like some really intensive portions of the game, but for the most part, it solved a lot of those problems. Things like loading menus, looking at shaders on gear, just any time it's got to, pull information and do something, it's a lot more efficient, but I'm just having this problem with it crashing. So I guess you gotta give and take. All right. And then they have the movies of the week. Go check those out. And they mention here at the end, Cosmo said they are posting a few threads to Bungie.net and the Destiny the Game subreddit to gather feedback. And what they're looking right now for is just general feedback. Tell us how you're feeling overall. No specific topic or agenda. We plan to keep posting these threads to gather more targeted feedback through the end of the year and beyond. So be on the lookout for those if you would like to offer some feedback on Forsaken and your experience thus far. I know I'll probably jump in and try to throw a few words out.
Yeah, I know
I'm a man of few words.
they always take feedback from everywhere, but they do always, of course, push the Bungie.net forums and stuff, right? Because it's just a nice central place for them to pull all the feedback versus trying to gather it all from Twitter. I guess like we do from them, trying to gather everything they release on all the different feeds. So for sure.
Yep. All right, so that is this week at Bungie. Now we need to talk for a few minutes about the Destiny update 2.0.5. So we don't have enough time to go through every bullet point here, but what are some of the big things you guys would like to mention here?
Well, I haven't obviously tested myself because I haven't gotten the quest to drop yet, but I've heard some good things about the malfeasance changes. People seem to think it's a bit more powerful, feels a little bit better now. Not so much for the Wish Ender. They did increase base damage on it and fixed where the perk was not proccing properly, but it's still from what I'm gathering from the community, the Wish Ender is still a bit underwhelming. So I don't know. Do either of you have malfeasance yet?
No, I was actually
I do not.
somewhat surprisingly, I was actually waiting for this most recent patch to get any of my quest reward exotics because I didn't want to increase the loot pool size for my exotics. I was trying to game the system, so I was actually waiting for this patch. So I have the malfeasance quest almost done, but I was actually waiting for this patch to do it. So
gotcha. Tricky, sneaky.
Yep. I'm working on trying to get that meatball.
Yeah, I know
down.
you're hot and heavy on that.
One of my buddies,
chase.
though, he did, he actually finished the quest last night. And so we were playing Gambit. He immediately put it on, and he was our dedicated defender/invader. And after 2 games, he took it off and he was like, I can't use this gun.
Really?
I don't understand why.
Wow. Okay.
This gun is not a scout, is what he said.
Huh.
So I think it's a funny gun because, it's obviously meant for the expansion and definitely meant for Gambit. The problem, though, is that when you're invading with the intent to use heavy or to use a sniper or to use a super or to use something
Single kill
powerful
weapon.
because you've got a short amount of time and a lot of people to kill, right?
Yeah.
And so it's a tough situation if you're defending to try to use a hand cannon against that. Especially with what the meta is right now. It's basically like a sniper, a queen breaker, or still sleeper, right? And so trying to peek and dodge with the malfeasance and try to get 3 taps is going to be
and it's always
ideal,
rough
especially
too.
in range.
I mean, an exotic like that, you just want to be super powerful. Plus, it looks cool. But when you've got those, enemy type specific perks on it, of course, and then even layer on the activity specific angle. It just ends up being, not something you can use everywhere. I don't know what are your thoughts on malfeasance, Mercules? Do you like that type of specifically built weapon?
I mean, I think the 180 RPM hand cannons are easy to use, but not super good in terms of their time to kill, with the obvious exception of Luna's Howl and malfeasance. I've heard can 3-tap invaders, which is pretty nice if that's true. But like you said, I mean, if you are invading, you're going in there with a plan to cause mass destruction, not plink at people with a hand cannon. And against an invader, it's nice that you can 3-tap, but they're almost always going to have a super or heavy ammo. So unless they're just a terrible invader, it's not really going to help. I feel like it would have been better served. I don't know if they had maybe, I know it does like bonus damage to take it and everything like that. I feel like it may have been better served if they had leaned more into that. Like, malfeasance is what you use to clear the wizards and to clear blockers, and it's just like so ungodly good at that, and that specifically, that it's worth it being in your exotic slot for, for Gambit. I feel like that would have probably been a better spot to go. But
it could be closer to that now that they've buffed it a little bit on that end. Like, one thing that I haven't done is gone in, in a team with 4 people rocking it and like, okay, let's see how this stacks up, to take the wizards out, to take out blockers and stuff. My friend did mention he really liked how it handled a blocker. And so that's, very niche, but helpful at least.
Yeah.
Better than nothing.
Yeah, for sure. But it's funny because I was talking to to him about it while he was using it, and Malfeasance almost seems like a Thorn replacement, because God knows they probably don't want another Thorn in the game right now, just because of where it's been and what it's done, right? But in almost every instance of what the gun is trying to be, Thorn would do it better. If I'm defending against an invader, I'd rather have the Thorn sniper where I can plink him real quick if he's trying to snipe me, and get the DOT that's going to slow him down and know where he is, so my teammates or I can continue. It's the same way that I used to use it in Widow's Court in trials. Like, let me get a quick shot off, and then I'll catch him on the next time he peeks, and it did its job. But they don't want that in the game, and nobody else does either, so it doesn't do that very well. I don't know. I kind of just wish it was Thorn.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Is that a bad thing to say?
Thorn is a dangerous beast, though, right? Because that gun is completely and totally broke. Like the time to kill meta that they have set up. Like they don't want guns that are killing in half a second or less. They're primary weapons, and that's what Thorn did, and that's what the Last Word did, and that's what sidearms that they're most powerful did, and all that stuff. Like, is, some people I'm sure will disagree with me, but that stuff is too fast for Destiny and the way Destiny plays. Like the 0.67 second to 1 second window is, I think, where Destiny plays best. And it's really, really, really hard to make a precision hand cannon fit in that window without it being the best gun in the game, like Luna's Howl, or the worst gun in the game, like almost every other 180 hand cannon, right? Because unless you start changing the rate of fire, it can only kill in 3 shots or 4 shots, which means it's going to kill in 0.67 seconds, which is what Luna's Howl does with 3 headshots, and it's the best gun in the game for primary. Or it's going to kill in 1.00 seconds, which is what Malfeasance does, and it's not very good. Speaking player versus player specifically here, right? So they kind of lock themselves in a corner with that weapon. Now, that being said, if they were to buff a bunch of other primaries up, which I think they should do, you can push Malfeasance up to being a 3-tap and maybe take away a little bit of the aim assist or something, and it becomes a very, very good gun. It becomes a little bit closer to Thorn. But that's going to require, a lot more work on the Sandbox team's part than I think what they're willing to put in right now.
Sure. Just don't tell anybody the rumor is Thorn is coming back, because that's what I heard.
Wow.
So
those data miners are getting a little bit too much info. I actually question some of the stuff that the data miner is putting out.
The leaker or the main data miners?
I guess Anon the 9 is...
Yeah, Anon the 9.
Is he the leaker or is he the data miner?
He's the leaker.
Yes.
Because I was going to say, he just has a buddy who works for Bungie and is sharing stuff with him, I'm pretty sure.
Seems to be the case, yeah.
And who is the data miner then?
I'm not... There's different people.
Oh, you know what?
It was stuff.
It was Jinsor.
Yeah.
Jinsor is the guy's name. So... Jinsor, I'm interested in how he is figuring out some of this stuff, because that's pretty neat. But yeah, now that I just has a buddy who works for Bungie, and he's telling him a bunch of things, and he's posting them on Reddit. So
yeah, good for him, getting his internet points, stirring up people. Now, further on in the notes, we've got all kinds of interesting stuff that's going to drive Merc crazy for a week or two while he figures out how it affects it, like reducing the amount by which full choke narrows projectile spread.
Yep. Thankfully, I actually already did figure that out, fortunately.
Good.
That was making me real upset, real salty for a little bit. If you saw my tweet immediately afterward, like, dude, it wasn't even out for a week. And
I know,
all that work gone.
Yeah.
But long story short,
at least you were able to sort it out.
It's not bad. They nerfed it by about 50%, which sounds like a lot, but full choke was by far and away the best shotgun barrel. Like, it added almost a meter of kill distance onto any shotgun that you put it on, and nothing else.
It was the shot package of Destiny 2.
Yeah, it was. Now, of course, that being said, you couldn't stack it with another barrel perk, which is why it wasn't quite as good as shot package was, because shot package was just ungodly in D1, especially on a Felwinter's Lie. That still brings me nightmares. But It was really, really good. And it was actually, there was a good thing about it, right? Like, the bad thing was that it was the only barrel perk that was worth anything on shotguns. Everything else was an instant dismantle. The good thing was, because it was so good, it freed up the next few slots to where you didn't have to be, like, you didn't have to have a ranged masterwork. You didn't have to run accurized rounds. You could run full auto. You could run assault mag. Like, it freed up a lot of options for the rest of the perks. And now they've cut it in half. And now it's like kind of neck and neck with rifle barrel. I think it's probably a little bit better than rifle barrel at less than 9 meters. But the problem is that now you pretty much need a range masterwork and you need accurized rounds. So they freed up the barrel options to choose between 2 instead of just 1. But now, if it doesn't have a range masterwork, if it doesn't have accurized rounds, like, you're handicapping yourself a little bit, which kind of sucks. So they traded one evil for another.
But at least there's more options of evils, right?
Yeah, for now. And all those people who deleted all their rifle barrel rolls because full choke was so much better, all those people now have to go back and grind for more.
Hoarders unite.
Ouch.
Things can always change. You'll learn that.
Yep.
Moving on. One thing I definitely noticed this week was Hive Knights and Taken Vandals are now using their special abilities again.
No.
And those Taken Vandals are the worst, man, when you're trying to shoot them and they put up that bubble.
Mm-hmm.
They were driving me nuts in Gambit last night when I was trying to take them out when the meatball was up. And I had to go get up close and personal. And then I got knocked off the map and died.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Breakthrough is back. Have you guys had a chance to play the new and improved Breakthrough?
I have not.
I have not, and I don't want to. I had a couple of clanmates play it, and I was talking to Kutch about it last night in our podcast, and I read the changes they made, and it's just, it's not good. Like, they're going to end up, I don't know if they're going to end up pulling it again, but they need to end up modifying it again, right? Like, the changes they made are incredibly complicated, and it doesn't really improve the flow of the game at all, except for now the game can't just go on indefinitely, which is a huge improvement, but it's still just not great. It's not very much fun. Like, the plan is basically still wait till the very last minute and then catch the breaker if you can, or try to have the most, progress on it. It still is not really worth it to push the breaker immediately, capture it, and then push to the vault, because you can still lose if you capture the breaker, which to me is a very strange design decision for that game type. But yeah, I don't know. I'm worried. They keep trying to make the competitive playlist like something that more people want to do, but they just haven't figured out what it is that people want to play. And, and so everybody who's above Luna's Howl level is basically having a really poor go at that playlist, because you're getting people at 3,000 glory matched with people at 5,500 glory and everything in between.
Right.
And it's just a cluster right now, unfortunately.
Well, hopefully they'll figure it out this year, or, over the next year. Probably not this year, but it needs some love. Comp definitely needs some help. Hey, I have a question. Have you checked out any of the changes to sword damage and PvE since this patch?
I have not. I'm not really a PvE person. I leave most of that up to Dado. I kind of let him. That's more his forte, and I kind of try to stay out of it. But I believe I saw on Reddit that they got like a 26 or 27% damage buff in PvE.
It's not bad.
Which is good. The sword people will be happy. I really don't
think the problem with swords is they're kind of like bows. They're kind of niche, and they don't do what other guns do as well. Yeah. And so they don't get used as much unless you just really love swinging a sword or shooting a bow,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the reason swords were as popular in D1 as they were was because the exotics had such interesting and unique properties to them.
Mm-hmm.
And legendaries just can't really stack up to that. And so I don't know if legendaries are ever going to be, sought after, highly used weapons, unless there's some weird little niche technique that they're needed for. So You can buff damage as much as you want, but until you buff them to the point of them out damaging every other heavy weapon, I mean, you're going to be hard pressed to get people to take off their rocket launcher or tractor cannon for a sword.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I don't know. I just still have a love affair with swords after Destiny 1, I think.
You do.
I can't let them go, man.
Well, you can always
Never
do
let
that,
go.
That medieval Crucible game where you run 2 bows and a sword, and you go into the 6-man and you all run bows and swords, and you don't fire any bullets at all.
For honor.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that just for honor? Is that what you're talking about?
It is, but somehow with actual better
With
combat
supers. For honor with supers.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be pretty fun to try. I'm pretty regularly screaming at people that use bows in Gambit, and I can't understand what they're doing, but I don't know. Bows are cool. Like, I pop it on every now and then just to get that satisfying headshot pop, you know, but they're so slow, man. I just can't get over it. I think they don't make sense to me in PvP if they're not a 1-hit kill, but if they're a 1-hit kill, they're too much. So I don't know where they fit.
I enjoy them in PvP, but I've actually taken a break from them because, as we've already mentioned, comp is so interesting right now. It's like hand cannon shoddy, or break or bust.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, you could also do Telesto polygons.
Oh, true. Yes.
Send you hate mail.
I did actually. This reset, I didn't even realize. I guess I dismantled it or infused it into something at some point. I had to go to my collections and repurchase Telesto, but I did take that step this reset and took it into a game. But I have not. I don't think I've used it more than one game. But there may be more in the future.
Dude, if it works, I use it. Like,
oh yeah, for sure, definitely.
You should use it in all the games, man. Let the purple Telesto bolts flow through you.
Yeah,
that's the dark side.
My problem right now, though, is I'm enjoying the. I mean, I'm playing a lot of solo comp. Believe it or not, I mean, I did hit Fabled, which I've mentioned, but I'm still grinding through that Luna quest. And man, it just at this point, it's starting to feel like I have to play a certain way for so long with a certain loadout. I can't even have any fun with Telesto. Like, of course I can have a hand cannon in my kinetic slot in Telesto, but then I'm killing everybody with Telesto and I need to get the hand cannon kills, right? So it's like hand cannon shotgun until I get this quest done, which could take a little while. So actually the other night I was running 2 hand cannons just to try to finish the step in this quest. But anyways, some of that could be a product of me playing solo.
Well, earlier we had exotics come up, and with this patch, we had exotic duplicate weighting added to the mix. Have either of you guys got any good exotics yet?
Dude, I was going to mention it in Reset. I got an exotic this week. I got Syntheseps.
You got Syntheseps.
Nice.
Yes.
What about you?
They were at a nice power level, but...
No, I got very lucky. I got Two-Tailed Fox and Shards of Galanor in my first week of Forsaken. And since then, I have not gotten another.
I hate you.
Oh, I thought you got them this reset.
I don't care. Nope. I still hate you because you have both like 2 of the best you can get.
Yeah.
Dude,
but what I really want is
Fox.
One-Eyed Mask. That's what I want.
Yes. So I've gotten 0 new armor for my Titan.
I have One-Eyed Mask. You can hate me for that.
Dude, I'm so jelly.
Yep. So, yeah, it's still early in our reset, though. I'm hoping I can get something to drop this week. I'd really like to get Two-Tailed Fox or just anything else.
Yeah, I would like the sword as well. I even went to, I went and did my Wanted bounty this week. I mean, I did it there for a little while, but maybe not for the last couple of resets. And I went and did it after this because I'm like, come on, give me an exotic. But I got my Syntheseps from like a random yellow bar. So...
Nice,
there you have it.
Of course, we have the changes to now enhancement cores. So I went and checked out the Spider. I was a little surprised that with these bounties, they just award 1 core per.
Yeah.
They cost 4 ghost pieces a piece. So you've got to, if you want to do them all, you've got to grind out like 20 ghost shell pieces or 21 or something like that, and then go to 6 different places to get 6 cores.
6 of them. Yeah, I think 2 would have been nice. The only reason is because of that layered material requirement there, because I had to do all the Tangle Shore bounties, and then
you got to do a bunch of work.
Yeah, and you don't even get those ghost. What is it, fragments or something from them?
Yeah, ghost fragments.
You just might as well go do public events, and you get 1 or 2, right?
Yeah, public events and patrols.
Yeah. So, and then I you know what? I did those bounties and got a few of those ghost fragments. And then I think I just went back to Spider, looked at it, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to go do something else that's on my to-do list. Like
you're talking about an hour or 2 of grinding for 6 cores.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if the piece wasn't there of requiring you to have those ghost fragments or whatever, well, that would be it. If you could just pick up the core bounties and go do some stuff,
I would have preferred to maybe just see 2 or 3 of them have it and just award 3. Yeah, you know, like I think it's just too much effort into that few materials. Mm-hmm. Now, what do you think, Mercules?
I mean, I'm just the dirty bastard who still is hoarding my Masterwork cores from the
dude.
I still have a pack of like 160 right now.
Wow.
So
I mean, I had like 60. I was sitting at 60, 40 to 60 forever. And I just seemed to get them. And I was doing okay. And everybody was saying they need Masterwork cores. And I'm over here needing mod components. And now I finally am down to like 2 or 0. Like I've made it there where I've started infusing so often that I have like 0. But you know what? I'm still on my mod component. I was hoping they were going to ninja some mod component direct thing in here, and we have nothing. And I don't think we've heard anything on mod components. So, yeah.
But hey, on the bright side, you can delete shaders really fast now.
You can super fast. It's almost like very entertaining now at this point.
Felt nice.
Yeah.
I accidentally deleted a shader I actually wanted the other day, and I've never had that happen before.
Yeah,
I had to laugh at it.
It's too fast to be able to think. That's for sure.
Well, on the bright side, you can buy it back, right? Not for the same exchange, but you can get it back. So at least there's that.
Could be worse.
Good old Banshee taking 25 gunsmith materials at a time now.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can get 1 gun. Nightfall unique rewards will drop more consistently. The longer players go without a unique drop, the higher their chances of a unique reward on their next Nightfall completion. The chance resets once a player receives any Nightfall unique reward. I like this, that it's basically just across all the Nightfall strikes ad infinitum. So eventually you're going to get something to drop if you play them, which I can appreciate a lot. And I have buddies grinding for very specific loot that they want, you know, and so this will definitely help ease that grind a little bit if you're trying to get something.
Yeah, you know, I did after we grinded out the high-load layer last week for Mindbenders, dude. Even like running that little farming method, like there's still with random rolls on weapons, like it's still. You maybe might get the roll you want. So it got me thinking, like, I bet as far as weapon specific strike loot, because let's just say you're running the whole strike, you're not running some sort of newly found farming method. I mean, it takes 10 to 15 minutes to run a strike. As far as a weapon goes, a randomly rolled Nightfall specific drop for a weapon, if they guaranteed you a drop for that, I almost think for a 10 to 15 minute time investment, it would almost be fine on a randomly rolled weapon. Obviously not like a Sparrow. But if you were guaranteed that weapon drop, that randomly rolled weapon drop, I feel like the time investment there would be pretty close to spot on, because the odds of you getting the roll you want are slim to none. But at this point, again, it's kind of like the Masterwork, randomly rolling. You're putting in 10 to 15 minutes grinding the strike over and over again, and as far as a weapon goes, you're not even guaranteed the drop. I do love the depth that it adds to the game. It just got me thinking with, random rolls back in the game. I think that almost could work, but it wouldn't work across the whole system, of course, because you can't just, if you ran a strike and got the Sparrow, you can't obviously be guaranteed to get a Sparrow. So
I think if we took that a step further and reinforced the systems that they have to make the Nightfalls like playable and fun to do, which is this point scoring system. It would make sense if you hit a point threshold.
Yeah, very true.
If you hit 100K, okay, you get a guaranteed drop at the
that would be
Nightfall
cool.
specific loot.
I like that.
So that way it reinforces that whole what is it? The Vanguard, is it Nightfall rank that it's called? That
Yeah,
it has.
yeah. You have
So
to
you're
do
playing
some work
into
to
that
get that.
mechanic, but instead of focusing on speed running it, you're focusing on like the point system, which is like how fast and how well can you kill all the enemies, right? Within the time allotted. And that makes more sense in what I think they want Nightfalls to be and to be played like, because what we have is a very niche kind of activity where there's not very many players that are running Nightfalls for score, and most people are just speed running them for, cool loot. And that's okay, but that's never really what Nightfalls were,
Right. It's just like everything else. It's a delicate balance, but there's definitely something to be said for the fun of, grinding for that specific role. And then you add, the added layer of maybe getting the specific loot on top of that. So I don't know.
They need to bring it back old school, man, and make it so that you get that post-game drop and you have a really high chance at exotics, and everybody be running Nightfalls.
Oh, yeah.
Again.
That was part of the weekly reset back in the day. Run your 3 Nightfalls.
That's where I got my first icebreaker and all kinds of fun. My 1 bajillion strange coins I had.
You had so many, dude. I never had that many.
I think I had 1,000 when I quit Destiny 1.
There was a lot of stuff back in the day that I wish they would kind of go back to, like running the Nightfall specifically to get that guaranteed loot was one of those things. Now I don't even care what I get from the Nightfall. I just dismantle it immediately and move on from it, which is unfortunate. But the Nightfall isn't really like in game anymore, and the slight level dictates that, right? So
yeah. I remember, man. I got my Suros and my Hawkmoon, good old Nightfall, and finally, eventually, after way longer than all my friends, the old Gallarhorn. But gotta love those Nightfalls back in the day.
Yalarharn.
All
Well, all right. That is the news. You guys know about any other news that we missed this week that I'm not thinking about?
Not other than all these crazy leaks and stuff, man. I mean, we can maybe hit on some of those next week. We got Mercules here for stat talk.
Oh, one like small aside, I did hear, and I haven't seen it myself, but apparently there's a new lore book.
Oh, yes. Yep.
I can't confirm how you get all of it or any of it. I know that one player said he got a page to drop from the daily story heroic, and that's when it unlocked for him. So maybe that's the activity, but I think there's 5 entries, and I'll tell you it's about Eva Levante. That's all I'll give you.
Leave it there.
Not spoiling it. Yeah, but it's cool. It's cool. I like that. All right. Well, let's shoot it over to our guest and ask him, Mercules, how was your reset?
It's been pretty plain so far. I'm just playing on some of my. I got my Hunter up to 600, and I got my Warlock and my Titan. I'm just bouncing back and forth between the two of them. Haven't even played the story missions on them. I'm really actually just playing Crucible and Gambit to get them up to as high light level as possible and get them up to 50. That way I can just burn through the story very, very quickly. But really all I want is that one-eyed mask for my Titan.
Oh, me too.
I think I've already resigned myself to waiting for Zer to sell it at some point in time over the next year. Because I don't think I'm ever going to get it as an actual drop. But it's been pretty tame. I was up in Chicago until Tuesday evening, so I actually haven't had that much time to play. And then last night I recorded my podcast, and tonight I'm recording this one. So I've been
just working.
Just squeeze in as much Crucible as I can in the meantime, just making people angry with Telesto. Yeah, same old.
Not to mention that old testing shotguns and stuff as well.
Yeah.
Did you do any of the Haunted Forest stuff? Did you get any of that?
I did it the first week, and I mean, it was fun. I enjoyed it. The first couple of times through were pretty fun. I'm not a horde mode guy. Like, I never really enjoyed like firefight in Halo, but I totally respect that it is an integral part of the game to some people, and I get that they really enjoy it. But like, I don't really enjoy Escalation Protocol or Blind Well or any of that stuff. I think Archon's Forge was the one that I had the most fun in. I've never really enjoyed activities like that. So like Haunted Forest, I was like, yeah, I'll do it. So I can get Horror Story, and then I have not touched it since then.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. You know, everybody has their own things that they like to do in FPS games and stuff. And, you know, a lot of people just gravitate towards the PvP, doing those things. And some people gravitate towards kind of just the mindless shooting aliens. Like that's always been my number one draw in a game. Like, can I mindlessly kill stuff for hours? I mean, you know, like there's something very zen about that for me that, I get enjoyment out of. And then I go to PvP and I like it for a little while, but then I'm like, okay, this was great, but I'm sick of dealing with people's BS. I just want to shoot the aliens again. You know?
Yeah.
So
yeah. I totally respect that. It's just, I want to go kill other people all the time. Like, yeah, there's a reason I won't ever play Red Dead, right? Because I'm sure it's a tremendous game, but I just don't really have any interest in a game where I can't go kill other people all the time.
They're going to have the online, though. Dude, they're going to have Red Dead Online.
Dude, Red Dead 1 online was pretty fun. I was just kind of chuckling because we would make Merc would be a great addition to the show regularly, because I think I'm right in the middle of you guys. I sound like I spend most of my time in PvP, but I really do, like, I get hot and heavy in PvP, and I pretty much always am. But then there's nights I log on like you, Cyborg, and I'm like, I just want to go shoot some things and not like stress out about my loadout and like sweating about this Guardian. And then other nights I get on and I'm like, all right, I'm looking at all my stuff. I'm speccing this out exactly the way I want, and let's go in and let's kill some Rogue Guardians. But I really do. I think I set like right in the middle of you guys. It's fun though that we can play this game like that so differently and focus on different things.
It is a strong suit, I think, for Destiny, as much as people complain about either sides ruining each other's experience. It's awesome that there's something for a lot of different players, you know, because I would hate for Destiny to not have any PvP, because there's so many players that I have a ton of fun playing with that probably wouldn't be playing Destiny if they didn't have the Crucible and the different modes and trials and all the things that are awesome. And, you know, I'll dip my toes in and have them guide me along. But, you know, and I think that part of that is why, like, I'm so in love with Gambit, because it's got just enough PvP that I can have fun with that, but it's not just PvP, because I'm still mindlessly shooting.
Yeah, you can do your thing. Yeah,
but for the PvP focus guys, I think it's like not quite enough PvP for their taste.
yeah, not often enough. They at least have that moment where they do what they can do for the team.
Yeah.
I started like hunting down invaders when the invaders would come in. I was like, yes, they're here, and I would like hunt them down and try to slaughter them, because
absolutely, man,
part of it. But Gambit was fun for me while I was doing the triumphs, because there was like one that was get 80 kills without dying, and that one was actually really hard. 80 kills without dying in Gambit, you know, when you're actually still trying to win. Like, obviously, if I were just camping the entire game, but number one, it basically has to go to 3 rounds,
right?
And number two, you can't die. Because you can, like, for me, I average like maybe 25 to 30 kills a round. So I had to go to 3 rounds with me not dying in a single round. And that was hard. So I spent a solid, 20 games trying to do just that. And that kept me playing Gambit like a lot.
Yeah.
And now I still play Gambit because a Bygones with Kill Clip and Outlaw is like my ultimate god roll for that game. And so I'm hoping that I can get one of those. So I'm still playing a lot of Gambit. I really like it. But I definitely want them to add either a new map or like a new wrinkle or something to it. I just want a little something to make it spicier.
Yeah, I was talking a little bit about Gambit last night with some of my fire team guys, and one Jeff Smith, one of our ambassadors, and he's pretty heavily PvP focused, and we were just talking about what could they do to kind of evolve it, and what could they do to involve more PvP, and just like I think some mechanics that would kind of work into the whole, like gambit, like actual gambit, like gambling, almost like themed, like maybe some double or nothing mechanics, or ways where you can decide, like Jumpsmith threw this out, you know, what if, you decided, okay, we're gonna like sacrifice our primeval, but then it'll allow all 4 of us to invade. And if we can achieve a certain objective while we're invading, or keep them from killing their primeval before it times out, then you win. Yes, things like that that would kind of just take it to another level. Could be pretty fun.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm interested to see how Gambit evolves in the next couple content releases.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they bring with Joker's Wild. I hope they bring like some different modes or just game types, or definitely new maps that don't allow you to fall into pits of goo. Would be great.
When you're carrying 10 modes.
Yep. That happens a lot. Well, Arrow, what about your reset, man? What have you been into?
Yeah, I'll do a little bullet pointed list here, so we can get to these juicy questions here coming up. I did quite a bit, actually. I Haunted Forest, I jumped in because I needed, I had to finish off and get the horror story. I definitely wanted that. I was sitting at like 570 power. Again, spending time in the Crucible and stuff. So helps. I'm trying to get to 600 still. I will tell you, one, I was hearing a lot of meh reviews on Horror Story, and while they definitely are valid, you know, it's a different version of Origin Story, and it doesn't have the best stats for an auto rifle. But I gotta say, man, I mean, Zen Moment is kind of like, really? But I enjoy shooting it. And I run, of course, an Actium, you know, half wall popping mini gun, never run out of bullets, PvE Titan. So any auto rifle I enjoy on the PvE side. I don't know. I've said this before. I don't know what it is. On the PvE side, I just like to be able to constantly have ammo. So an auto rifle, I just enjoy it. Now, not so much on the PvP side right now, but I like it. It's nice. It's cool looking. I liked Origin Story, and it was worth it. Now, it was definitely worth it for the power, because I went from like 571 to almost 590 in a matter of like, I don't even, like 3 days, I think, just doing powerful engram stuff. Yeah, once I got that bump and that thing on my character, it made a big difference. So I had like I have for several weeks now, just a to-do list this week. That was one. I decided, okay, all these masks, I really just want Shaxx. So I jumped back in and did enough Haunted Forest to be able to get Shaxx's mask. And then this week is the EP Akilo Shadi. So that was on my to-do list to get in there and grind some EP. And after about 6 or 7 level 7 boss kills with all randos that I just kept loading in till I found some people that were running it, went from level 1 to level 7. Had to kill them like 7 or 8 times, like I said, 6 or 7, and got that shoddy. So I'm pumped there. I finally got that. That's going in my my PvE loadouts. So very excited about that. I mentioned my Synthesep duplicate drop, but I did get that at 590. So I'm on my way to 600. Hopefully join you guys there soon. Yeah. So,
you know, you brought up Horror Story, and I realized this last night. I was using it in the Haunted Forest, and, you know, Polygon had put up that article about it, and they were saying, oh, there's so much better autos in the game, and this isn't worth the investment and this and that. But I realized as I was using it, like, they basically made the gun for that activity. It's great as a spray and play, like put rounds downrange to wipe out lots of red bars, but it's about the orb gen. Like, they gave you something masterwork so you can kill lots of red bar ads to produce lots of orbs so that you can get your super back faster and do ad clearing or boss DPS. So it's kind of one of those guns that, almost like the EP guns, like it reinforces your ability to do the activity well. Like, going in with an auto rifle at the range that you need for Haunted Forests, like, you don't really need a pulse, you don't need a scout, like, you pretty much want to run an auto, shotgun, and a rocket or something. And so this works great for just pooping out lots of orbs And so it's niche, but it works well for what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie too. Once I got it, it's been so long since I've had a masterworked weapon. I have like maybe one or two for PvE. I don't even actually, no, I think just for PvP. I completely forgot that masterworked weapons drop orbs on multi-kills. And I got that horror story and I was like, why am I getting my suit? And then I'm like, oh, that's right. I haven't had a masterworked PvE weapon in forever. This is amazing. So yeah, I noticed that like immediately. But I'm loving that gun. It may not be the best on paper, but it feels good to shoot. It's a nice balance of some perks for the PvE side.
Auto, man.
Yeah,
I
like it. I probably will continue to use it even after I get some other 600 kinetics. But that's basically it for me. I've still been jumping in comp, mostly solo, just trying to grind out that Luna quest. Yeah. I'm kind of hoping I'm like, okay, I'm okay if I lose and drop back down to heroic. Like this Fabled and Beyond is like, there's just so many Lunas and stacked teams, but I'm making the decision to go in solo. So I'm just going to keep grinding that quest out and try to just do my thing.
Nice.
I did get Red Dead and I've played a little bit of it. Like I got to the point of being let loose in the open world and
chapter 2.
Yeah, I'm super excited to play it more. And every time I turn on my PlayStation, I'm like, man, Red Dead sounds super fun. And then like immediately after that, I start thinking about like what I want to get done in Destiny, like we talked about last week, and I boot up Destiny.
Yeah, me too.
So
pretty much.
I need to make some time for Red Dead. Yeah. But anyways, that's me this reset so far. What about you, man?
All right, well, I'll give you one story. So and if you're listening, you know about my elusive hunt for the meatball for the Ascendant Primeval Servitor. Well, we decided prior to this reset, me and some of the buds, we're going hard on Gambit this week. It's all Gambit every night. We're not quitting until we're dredgens, right? So we've been just grinding at Gambit. I kid you not. The first game after reset, we go in, goes to 3 rounds, 3rd round, guess who shows up?
No,
it's the meatball. All right. And we have an advantage and we're doing well, but everybody's so flipped out about having the dadgum meatball that we're all jittery. And I go in and I'm trying to finish him off. I think I might have done melting point and then put some shoddy rounds in him, and he had a sliver of health, and it popped his shield up. Because there's this, if you haven't gotten the meatball, let me tell you ahead of time, he's got the same shield mechanic that he does in the missions. He's going to have these little tendrils that come out, and you got to shoot the little taken points to drop his shield. And he put that up with a sliver of health he left. Okay. So one of my buddies is like, drop his shield. You got to shoot his shield. And nobody knew what to do. And I fell off the map, and then somebody else died. Somebody else got knocked off the map, and the other team killed their meatball with a sliver left.
No way, man. Have you had him spawn since?
I have not in 25 plus games. He has not showed back up.
I'm sorry.
I was just furious. I mean, I didn't speak for like 45 minutes. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I was,
ouch.
Oh my gosh, it still burns today. We're going to get them, but I just couldn't believe we choked so hard.
That was almost it.
It was almost it. So hopefully by next show, you'll hear my tale of victory, but not today. Not today. But I did reset my second Gambit reset. So I'm on to my 3rd.
Oh, cool.
And that should go pretty quick, man. If you get that 5-win streak up, you get 500 infamy per win, and you can burn through a rank pretty fast. So it's been fun. It's been fun.
Nice. Yeah, that's on my to-do list as well. Now that I'm knocking some of this other stuff out, plenty of time left in the reset to jump in and try to see what I can do in Gambit.
Yeah, at least try to get a reset on your rank, on your infamy, so you can get that trust.
Oh yeah,
that he gives you. He'll give you a masterwork trust. That's pretty decent. Play around with that.
definitely.
All right. That was resets. Let's do some Dirt Fam discourse because we got a bunch of Twitter questions for Mercules. You still there, buddy?
Yes, sir.
We're keeping you longer than we said, man.
No worries. My eyes are heavy, but I should be able to survive for at least a few more minutes.
Okay.
We got some good questions.
We'll take turns here. I'll do the first one. You may recognize this name, Rythona at Spot the Striker. It's one of your partners in crime. She says, ask him who the best player on his Bungie team was.
Now, I told her that's a tricky question because we're all good. We're all good at different things. Spot is definitely the best raider by far. That's like her knack. She's an incredible Sherpa. That's what she's great at. I am gonna have to say that I think myself or Holtzman are gonna be the best at PvP. I'm gonna say me for a little bit, but Holtzman's a very good sniper. He's an extremely good sniper.
Yeah, he is.
I'm still gonna say I think I may have a small edge in PvP.
You think you could take him?
I do. We did a couple of 1v1s with Ace of Spades when we first got the gun when we were doing some playtesting. And we were very often put on other teams because in the Sandbox playtest, the very first one we did, Holtzman and I were on the same team and we mercied the other team like 5 games in a row. And they said we weren't allowed to do that anymore. So they split us up and they put us on opposite teams almost every time from there on out. But so we had a lot of good head-to-head battles. I think he's a better sniper than me, but I think I'm maybe just a tiny little bit better at PvP overall.
All right, you heard it here first. The gauntlet's thrown down. We'll see what he has to say about it.
Oh, well. Okay. Good old Burning Wing, Dirt Fam team member. What is a scout people have been sleeping in?
On.
Yeah, sleeping on, I hope.
I have to say how he did it on Twitter, and he said he's sticking to it. So there you go.
What's a scout people have been sleeping in? Gambit sleeps, or Drifter sleeps in a lot of stuff, right? Like
he does, dude.
Sleeping in Cabal bodies all the time. So I'm assuming he found a Cabal scout and murdered them, and then cut them open like in Star Wars and slept in them.
Nice.
I gotta assume that's a scout people are sleeping in. In terms of sleeping on, I actually don't think there's any scouts that people are sleeping on right now. I think scouts are just super weak. Obviously, we all heard about the glitch with the 150 RPM scouts where they're shooting at 140 right now. They're about a frame slow. That was not intended, and they're trying to fix it. Mida is probably the best scout right now. Honestly, if you want to try one out, I think your best shot is going back to Mida. For Gambit, you can maybe get away with distant relations. But yeah, I don't think any of them are good right now. And that sucks because I was like a hardcore Chaos Dogma high impact scout user in D1.
Yeah, that was your bay.
And I just have not found one that suits my fancy. And D2, at least in this current iteration. So sorry. That's
I would
answer, but
I'd really like scouts see some love. Polaris Lance was my bay. All of Warmind, man. Like I loved that gun so much, and now it's just a shadow. Yeah, I'm so disappointed. Will Mr. Woodhouse Kavanaugh at Mr. Woodhouse on Twitter and Reddit says, who's your favorite Reddit mod and why is it Norse Fenrir? By the way, happy birthday, Norse. It's your birthday today.
I like all the Reddit mods. None of them have banned me yet, which I take as a sign that they maybe like me too. But I like all the Reddit mods, man. Hawkmoona Matata, obviously Mr. Woodhouse, and Norse Veneer. Happy birthday! I don't know. Doc Red is great as well. I know that I'm forgetting just an absolute ton of them. Ryza Bacon is a fantastic dude. I actually might have to say that Fuzzle and Ryza Bacon. I chat with them a decent amount, maybe more so than the others. But I don't think I can name a favorite. That'd just be
too tough.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. Some great guys over there.
All right, next up, Bit Dead, another Dirt Fam team member. The Ace of Spades quest completions are below 10%. Are you surprised this is so low?
Yeah, I kind of am surprised it's that low. It's not
even with
really
the change.
Quest. I would think that almost everybody would have it done. It's not. I mean, what's hard about it, honestly? Like
before, maybe having to kill as an invader, but now, definitely so. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what's hard about it. Maybe it's just that it's kind of long, kind of time consuming. You got to get 250 kills with hand cannons and strikes and everything like that. But yeah, I kind of am surprised it's that low. I would not have expected that.
I feel like it's such a good gun, but it got overshadowed like after the first 2 or 3 weeks. Like people stopped talking about it, and I think it's kind of overlooked now. But it's still so solid, man. It's such a good gun.
Merc, can you tell me why when I shoot Trust, what stats going on here? When I shoot Trust, I feel like it goes exactly where I want it to go. And when I shoot Ace of Spades, I feel like my bullets disappear sometimes.
I mean, it's a lot of the behind the scenes aim assist that's going on with Trust. They buffed 180, the precision hand cannons. They buffed them a ton.
Are
Okay.
you sure it's not
something
ghost bullets?
Yeah, it's basically your accuracy is extremely high and your stability is extremely high and your aim assist is extremely high. So everything that could possibly be combining to make a gun feel accurate, it does. Whereas on the 140 RPM hand cannons, which is what Ace of Spades, it doesn't have basically any of that except for range. The stability is poor, the accuracy is not great. You know, the aim assist exists, but it just all those guns feel like, you know, shadows of what they used to feel like in D1. Even in year 3 of D1, they felt better than they feel now. But if anybody remembers back in year 1 D1, hand cannons were like scout rifles basically, and they are nothing like that. There's like this irrational fear that they're just going to take over the Crucible if they have any type of actual accuracy. So instead, they just are okay with them feeling like crap for the most part. But I still use Ace of Spades. I think Ace of Spades, outside of Luna's Howl, is probably still one of the better hand cannons once you get used to the kick and the inaccuracy, and you realize that, like, with Ace of Spades, you cannot fire at max rate of fire. And that's something that bothers me about that archetype of gun. Like, why make a gun that you can fire faster than it's possible to be accurate with? Like, just slow down the rate of fire. If you don't want me to fire that fast, just slow down the rate of fire. But so with Ace of Spades, you just have to pace your shots. Once you get the Memento Mori bullets and they do 93 per headshot, you can just waste people with it. And it's basically a kill clip that's always active, which is awesome. So I still love it. I use it a lot. That's what I'm using right now to try to get my competitive hand cannon headshots. So.
And you're playing on Xbox, right?
Yep, that is indeed. It would probably be better if I was on PC. But.
Oh, for sure, yeah. It's just funny, like, I knew you'd know the answer, you know, and it's like I can dive in and figure out what's going on there, even, you know, further than what I do now with different things and reading your stuff. But it's like I just know immediately. Like, I'm shooting the Trust, it feels amazing, it feels great, and then I throw on Ace and I love it and I want to love it even more, and I'm like, what is happening here? I got to figure out what I'm doing to feel like these shots aren't landing. But man, it is nice when you proc that perk. And I got to say, like, I love bows in the Crucible. It's just my kind of weapon. And to crit with a bow and then clean up with spades and then have them proc that perk and then just run around with it for a little bit. It's definitely a fun gun in the Crucible. So looks good too.
All right. Snatching Panda wants to know, what is the fastest draw time you can get on a bow?
I think it's somewhere around 600, which is like 600 milliseconds or something. I honestly don't know. I think by default, they're like, the Arsenic Bite has like a 667 or something. And I think it's like a couple frames lower than that, probably with one of those weird strings that allows you to shoot faster. So I actually don't know that off the top of my head. That's a good question.
All right. We'll try to find out.
All right, Mr. Davis. What's your take on full choke? Here we go. Full choke nerfed on shotguns, and is it still the better perk than rifled barrel?
So, yeah, I already said earlier that full choke got nerfed about 50% from what it was. I personally think it's still probably better than rifled inside of 9 meters, and 9 meters is like pretty darn near close to max shotgun range. There have been some rumors that very, very well-rolled shotguns like rifle barrel, accurized rounds, and I believe a ranged masterwork that's maxed out can kill at 9.5 meters, maybe even 10. I have not been, fortunate enough with RNG, so I don't have that, so I can't test it. But there is, a small part of me that thinks the rifle barrel may be better outside of 9 meters, because you start experiencing damage fall off with full choke because it doesn't actually buff the range at all. It just makes the pellet spread tighter. Whereas rifle barrel makes the pellet spread a little bit tighter because that's what range does on shotguns, but it doesn't do it quite as much as full choke. But you also get actual range, a stat boost, which pushes out damage fall off, pushes out aim assist fall off. So I think outside of 9 meters, rifle barrel is probably the better option, or maybe a wash. But I would still say full choke is the better overall option. But it's much, much closer now than it ever was before this.
Okay.
All right. There you go.
I have to ask real quick while we're on shotguns. What is full auto, other than being the only weapon type that it actually increases the fire rates? Why do I want full auto on a shotgun?
Well, because it doubles the rate of fire of whatever shotgun you're using.
Okay.
Like that's
the gist of it.
A double rate of fire is extremely, extremely potent, especially on aggressive or precisions that don't have a very fast rate of fire.
Okay.
I would go so far as to call the god tier perk on precision shotguns.
Okay.
But it does.
So if I got a dust rock with full auto.
Yes,
then,
that's what you would want to use. That or a reader. Now, beware, it does increase the pelt spread a tiny amount, but not nearly as much as it did in D1, and not nearly enough that I would recommend not using it.
Okay. All right. Moving on.
Midnight Jones wants to know current sweatiness of quick play versus comp. Thoughts on breakthrough and gambit, the place of shotties in these, and overall feelings on the dirty, slide crouching troll campers who use them. Were shotguns really nerfed in the last update? Because they feel the same. Okay, a whole bunch of questions in here. Take it as you want.
Okay, so current sweatiness of quick play versus comp. Quick play is not sweaty at all. Like, even the most sweaty quick play game is still not what real sweaty is. I think people have forgotten what quick play was like when there was skill-based matchmaking. And it was actually like a 6v6 game of comp at the highest level every single game of quick play, and it was a nightmare. It is not like that at all. There is little to no sweatiness in quick play, which is exactly what I think quick play should be. I think it should not be focused on, how good you are. It should just be focused on putting you in a match quickly, and then whatever happens, happens. I wouldn't say no to a little bit of team-on-team balancing once the lobby is full, kind of like what COD used to do, where it puts the best player on one team, second best player on the other team, and goes down the list. I wouldn't say no to that. I also wouldn't say no to some connection-based matchmaking. But really, there's like no sweatiness in quick play. Comp is extremely sweaty, as it should be, because it's matching people up, or at least it's trying to. It can't always do it, but it's trying to match people up based on their glory, which, even though people want to bitch about it, especially on PC where the player population is extremely low, on consoles where the population is not that low, I have found comp to be a relatively even set of matches. And it is quite sweaty. Seems like every single person on Earth apparently has a Luna's Howl in the competitive playlist. Or at least I've never seen anyone who doesn't have one. But, it's sweaty, and I think that's what it should be. People want to complain about we're getting matched with people who are way above our skill level. And I feel that. I think realistically, it's never not going to happen. The player population just isn't there, even on console, to prevent that. But I do wish that there was a better score system in place for comp, where you would lose less points if you beat a team that is obviously going to beat you, right? Or simultaneously, if you have someone quit out of your game, you would lose less points for being in a game that has fewer players, right? Like if you're down 2 to 4, you would only lose 50% of the points you would normally lose because you only have 50% of the players you would normally have. I think something like that would do wonders for the health of the system. But I don't know. I think I'm getting off topic of what he actually asked. Thoughts on Breakthrough? I don't like Breakthrough. I wish it wasn't in the playlist. Thoughts on Gambit? I love Gambit a lot. I think I talked about that a little bit earlier. I said I really have enjoyed playing it recently. Although I do hope some new stuff comes in. The place of shotties in Breakthrough, shotties have the exact same place in them they do in all the rest of comp, which is probably the gun you need to be using. In Gambit, I think that the Icolo shotty is probably one of your best options. If not that, then a rapid fire shotty. They're just extremely, extremely good for they're extremely good for killing blockers and for doing damage on the primeval. So I think they absolutely have a place. Yes, they were nerfed in the last update, not by a ton. I'd say comparatively by about half a meter. And dirty slide crouching troll campers who use them. You know, I totally agree with that statement, but also I used Telesto, so I mean, I don't know how much I can talk about that, but
I have to ask, do you think, I have had the thought, and while I don't want to go hot and heavy on it because I don't want to, redo the steps that we did back in the D1 Crucible with special and shotguns and things of that nature, but I have had the thought that there's too much ammo and reward for shotguns. I love the mechanic of the better you do in PvP, the more ammo you get from that Guardian. But I feel like even decreasing it by one slug or whatever, shell across the board would maybe make it feel like they're less frequently used, or you have less ammo. I don't know so much to say you start with one, but maybe you get one less, including all your perks and everything, from a brick that you pick up from a Guardian you killed. Do you think there's a lot of shotguns right now? Do you think it's okay, or do you think it's a little too much?
I mean, there are always going to be a lot of shotguns because they take the least skill,
right?
And that's not a slight on shotgun users, because an extremely, extremely good shotgun user is totally different than like a standard, just run straight at you type of shotgun user. But the thing is like the run straight at you type of shotgun user is totally cool, trading their life and getting a kill. And the unfortunate thing is I think that's the play style that rewards it more than it is the amount of ammo. Like,
true.
I don't think there is too much special ammo in the Crucible right now.
But specifically to shotties. I don't think there is for anything else. But specifically for shotties.
I wouldn't even say that it is for shotties. Personally, I don't like the ammo system. I'll say that honestly. I don't think the ammo system is a good one. I think it rewards the type of shotgun play that exists right now, which is charge straight up and try to kill someone as quickly as you can, right? And simultaneously,
and if you do, you get more ammo.
Yeah, and it punishes being a sniper. It punishes like map control. I would have preferred a system where there were special ammo boxes on the map and you had to pick them up. And if you picked it up, then, when you died, you lost half of it and you could respawn with half of what you had and stuff like that, right? Like that way you didn't lose all the ammo when you died, but simultaneously you also didn't just respawn with ammo willy-nilly, which is what happens right now. That's something I really don't like about the system, is that like, oh, I'm a shotgun user and I'm absolutely terrible and I just aped someone and I died and I traded, but also I have 2 shots of shotgun again.
As soon as you come back, yeah.
Yeah, and then they just run and ape and shotgun again. And like, I really hate that because it plays right into that game type. So I guess in that way, yes, I feel like there's too much ammo for shotgun users, but I don't know if making them pick up less ammo is the counter to that. I think a different special ammo system is more
okay.
Yeah, is more of what we need.
Yeah.
Like, it really doesn't sit well with me that you can die with 0 shotgun shots and then respawn with 2. Like,
that's where I feel like 1 would be great, because I do like the idea that if you get a kill, you get rewarded with another shot. But starting with 2, trying to get that kill, and then if you don't succeed, like you said, and then you spawn again with 2, it's like, I think there's definitely a tweak there specifically for shotguns. I don't want to get back to where you don't have any ammo when you spawn, you can't use your shotgun until you whatever, but I definitely think it's contributing to what we're seeing even in Iron Banner. We're not just talking about the competitive playlist. I mean, there's a lot, and you get rewarded for even not succeeding, like you said. Again, I don't want you to spawn with no shotgun ammo, but I don't know what the fix is. It's an interesting conversation.
People spawning with no shotgun ammo if they didn't have any ammo the last time they died.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Spawn at the beginning of the game with 2.
Yeah. Like, I understand people saying, "Hey, I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose all my special ammo every time I die," because that's where we were at the end of D1 year 3. They were like, "I don't want to lose all my special ammo every time I die." And I agree with that. I think you should lose 50% of it. I think you should drop 50% of it. The person who killed you should pick it up, or whoever else picks it up. and I think you should keep 50% of it. But if you have 0, I do not think you should spawn in with ammo. I think there should be ammo bricks that spawn the way heavy ammo spawns. I would have them be shared among teammates who are within a radius of them. That way it's not just one person fighting over it. So like you can spread the wealth kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I would probably prefer a system like that because it promotes map play and it doesn't reward charging and dying. And it is more fair to snipers, which right now are at an extreme disadvantage because they basically can't get special ammo. Because, you know, how are they going to? They just killed someone from really far away with a sniper. What are they going to run all the way out of their sniper spot to go pick it up? Like, that's how they get killed. So,
right, yeah,
you know, it's just, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I have a feeling they're going to tweak the system at some point in time, but I will say that the actual amount of ammo that's in the Crucible right now doesn't feel overwhelming.
Okay. Well, there you go. That's why you talk to Mercules.
Well, we're almost running out of time, so we're gonna cut off the last couple questions, but we'll get them next time. Because we got to keep this under 2 hours. So how about we give a couple quick shout outs to some patrons we got this week? Who we got, Arrow?
Yep, we got MacDaddy616. And we got to give another shout out to Black Hammer Tech. Thank you, Guardian, sir, for the PayPal donation once again. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate that. If you don't know what a patron is, go to patreon.com/Destiny Reset, where for as little as $1 a month, you can support the production budget of the show. You get a couple perks. You get a shout out on the show. You get a gamer tag posted on our website and an invitation to a Discord channel just for Dirt Fan patrons and supporters.
There you go. Thank you.
All right, gentlemen. Mercules, tell everybody again where they can find you on the web.
You can find me on Twitter at Mercules904. You can find me on Reddit at Mercules904. You can find me on Xbox Live at Mercules904.
You can make it easy.
You can see a thread.
What else do I have? I think that's actually all the social
media
I have.
Where can they hear your show?
Yeah, iTunes, Destiny, Massive Breakdowns. We're also on SoundCloud. We're on Podbean. I believe we may even be on the Google Play Store, but I don't know because KitKutcha handles all that. I don't do any of our logistical work. Except for on SoundCloud, where I edit the podcast and post it. So we'll have an episode up probably around tomorrow morning. If you guys want to listen to hear the most recent stuff, it's a super in-depth episode of Shotgun Talk, and also a little bit of saltiness on my part because I'm annoyed at the at some of the changes that they are making to the game, where they make things way more complicated than they need to. But that you will have to tune into the episode to find out for yourself.
I'm sure by now they know they want more, man. If you guys want more of this talk, the stat talk, definitely tune into their podcast. It's great stuff.
Arrow, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram at AER0KNIGHT with a 0. What about you, man?
Perfect. I'm at CyborgSasquatch on Twitter and Mixer. And finally, you can find us at Destiny Reset on Twitter, on the web at www.destinyresetpodcast.com. Your source for all things DRP, including links to find anything and everything we talk about on the show involving DRP. Thank you guys for the continued reviews on Apple Podcasts. If you listen there, please go drop us a review if you have not yet. It helps us get seen by more listeners looking for Destiny podcasts.
Yes. Thank you guys so much. Well, Merc, thank you so much. You will have to definitely come on sooner than you did the last time. It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you guys for having me. I was very happy to be here.
Of course. Next time we're at an event together, we'll all have to grab some food. Maybe you can join Cyborg and I, and hopefully at some point we finally have that steak dinner. Not steak and shake dinner.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
Well, I'll be at GuardianCon next year. I know that's a little bit far in the future, but it is taking place in Orlando, which is only 2 hours from my house. So I will definitely.
Yeah, not bad.
Maybe we'll have to try and make that happen for sure.
All right.
All right, guys. Until next week, have fun playing Destiny 2 and take care, Guardians.